Go ahead, put it on real tight. Hope you brought your best tonight. They say they got the fireworks, yeah, they say they got the show. Here around the chutes, you're the best, so let's go.
This is Texas Toast, a production of TSC Entertainment. I'm your host, Miss Helen. Kick back and enjoy as we toast the best from Texas.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Texas Toast. I'm Miss Helen, along with an artist I've been really looking forward to visiting with on the podcast. Everyone, welcome Jake Bush. Hello, Jake. How are you?
Good morning.
Looks like you are really moving up and doing a good job, but let's just do kind of like a little get to know you a little bit. What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Escargot.
Okay. If there's one unique or quirky habit that you have, what would it be?
I like telling dad jokes.
Oh, see, okay, I'm kind of can relate to that because I will think I've got the whole joke and I'll get to the end and I'll forget.
Oh.
I'm so bad about that. And so do you cringe at ice chewers or do you roll with it?
I roll with it.
Yeah, it drives me crazy. Okay, so we're going to dig into your music and your background. I know you're an Army veteran. Thank you so much for your service in the military. So appreciated. And you have just come on strong with your music. Now you're from the Houston area. What part of Houston?
I'm from down in LaPorte, Texas.
Oh, okay. So you're coastal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right near the water.
Yes. So you kind of could relate to my story prior to the podcast. So you started out strong. Even your first couple of radio releases did hit the top 30. But I want to talk to you about starting off and digging into your music. If These Walls Could Talk, because literally I lived that song with my grandparents' place. So tell me about the backstory on that song. It's just it like hit me right here.
Yeah. Well, I lost my grandma in 2017, and we didn't know what we were going to do with our house. We were thinking we were going to have to sell it and flip it, or let it get demolished, or whatever the case was. And I didn't have the money to buy it. And I'm the youngest. I'm the baby of 13 grandchildren. That were raised in that house. My mom and dad got married in the backyard. I mean, it's the history of that house in my blood is too rich, and it was kind of it was a tough time for us. And I didn't really know how to cope with it. And so I sat down and did what I've always done and kind of just channel music. And that song poured out of me, and it kind of helped me get through it. It helped me get closure, and
Yeah, you could tell it's so heartfelt. And like I said, I've been there, and it brought back so many memories because like literally the story of my grandparents is so amazing. And man, they were in their house after my grandpa built it when he came back from World War II with his own hands.
wow.
And so yeah, I'm gonna start to so yeah, like thinking about that, we've been down that road. Anyway,
Yeah.
get it together. So then then you came out and hit it hard with some number ones with Gravity and You. And we kept up with Better by the Beer. That was your most recent number one. So that's such a fun song.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I wrote that a couple years ago in Nashville. My first and only time I had ever been to Nashville. And there was a guy down here that always came to the shows when I played on Wednesdays, and I'd say, "Man, how you doing?" And he'd say, "I'm getting better by the beer, buddy." And
there it is.
like, I'm gonna write a song. And fast forward a couple of years, I did, and I honestly, I never dreamed it would have went number one. Gravity and You's pretty high on my list for songs that I love, and
Yes.
I feel like there's some pretty big shoes to fill with that, and I'm definitely grateful that it hit number one, and then like baffled.
Well, it's good stuff, and I like how your music. It's of course it's your voice is absolutely amazing, but I like how you have the songs like If These Walls Could Talk and Gravity and You, and then Better by the Beer. But another one I like is Don't Drink My Whiskey.
Yeah,
It's funny. I love that song.
Yeah, Jody Booth. You know who Jody Booth is?
Yes, I do.
So before I even played music, Jody Booth and John Slaughter wrote that song, and he put it out. John Slaughter did. And then when I came on the scene, I had kept hearing it, and I was like, man, if they're not going to do anything with it, I'm going to. I'll put my own. I'll put a little more Texas on it, and just to see where it takes me. And that's one of our most popular songs.
So, and I know that I like how your music is described, and I totally think it's spot on where 90s meets now. I love that.
Yeah, it's in my blood. That's actually the next, the name of the next album I'm putting out at the end of this year.
And speaking of putting out your albums, you record at Rosewood. I know those guys at Rosewood, Travis and Carrie, and of course the late Greg Hunt. They do such a great job. So what's it like working with them at Rosewood?
It's pretty amazing. You know, I got to work with Greg pretty close before he passed. Gravity and You Better, the whole last 7 album, he was really hands-on with, and I give him a lot of the credit on why I am where I am and why that record's gotten so much attention. You know, there's a different type of magic in that studio. There still is, you know, but when he was in there hands-on, it was something special.
Yes, he was a special one. I know that I have an artist that records there too, and they just I love because I'll you know I'll get the first cuts, and then when they start tracking and then they start mastering, you know, start doing everything, but they just work such magic and they're so talented.
Crazy. It's yeah, it's pretty cool, the process of it. Like you're saying, it's unreal.
Yes, it is. And so if you have a current release now, only 5 weeks, and you're busting up all the charts with If You Ever Get Lonely.
Yeah, it's pretty unreal. That's one of the only songs I have that I wrote by myself, next to Walls Could Talk. Those are the only 2 that I have that I wrote 100% by myself.
Well, I love If You Ever Get Lonely because it literally is one of those earworm songs. Like I'm constantly humming it. Like, yes, every time I listen to it, it's just stuck with me.
Well, job well done then.
Absolutely, job well done. So when did you start? When did you start getting into music? Was it when you were a kid, or when you went to high? You know, how did all this talent come together?
So I've always loved music. I mean, I used to walk and ride my bike down to the public library and blow my $5, you know, a week on my library card I used to rent the Chris Cagle CDs, and I would bring them home,
Really?
wear them out, man. I'd wear them out till I was late. I could take it back and I'd get another one. And I was probably, I don't even know, 10 years old when I did that. And then when I was 14, I asked my dad for a guitar. I'm the youngest of 7. So it's there's a lot of no, because all my other siblings had already done that, did it, and they didn't use them or whatever the case was. And then he bought me one when I was 14, and I taught myself, and I guess the rest is history. And my whole life I thought, man, where did this come from? You know, and when my grandpa passed away, I found a picture, and I'm like 3 years old holding a microphone.
Oh.
So I mean, you know, it's already pre-written, you know, and that was kind of like, whoa, you know, I came full circle with that, because I thought it would just drop out of the sky into my lap.
So did you ever have any other career path? I know that you were in the military, and was there like another career path that was there, or did you just go straight to music?
When I was in high school, I was really, really good at sign language.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a random fact a lot of people don't know about me. I was fluent in it, and I was going to go to college for and be an interpreter, but God pushed me somewhere else.
Well, and you're doing such a fabulous job. So you're back on the road. I know that you played literally in my old stomping grounds. You were at Irmis's Grocery. What was it, last weekend in Fredeck? Like I remember, because I grew up across the I-10 overpass on the other side in San Felipe, because Sealy, Texas is my hometown. So
nice.
It's funny because that place is very historical. It was just called Irmis's Grocery. And it's like where all the older gentlemen would go and they'd play dominoes and have their cold beer. And there used to be a sign that said check parking only, because that's my background. And so it's really nice what they've done. And I had some friends, because a lot of my classmates and childhood friends, since they're having music there this past weekend, I got a text about an artist, and I got a text, do you know who Jake Bush is? He should be on your podcast. I'm like, well, ironically enough, get ready, because he's coming on the podcast. So did they treat you right there?
Oh, I love that place. You know, the last few shows I've had with them have been really great. They had another owner, Brenton. Him and his brother-in-law own it, and Brenton ended up moving away to do something else, another venture, and now his brother-in-law owns it. And I got to sit down with him a little bit, and I admire it, man. You know, I'm like one of those guys that I run a company myself. You know, run a business of playing music, and it's really tough for me to stand back and be hands off, you know. And the owners of that place are in the kitchen cooking, they're busting tables, you know,
Mhm.
paying me, checking on me, they're running the bar. I can admire that. I would rather play for a place like that than, you know, an owner that's never there and is very hands off, you know.
Right, right. I've got to get there to visit because I think one of the last times I went there was right before the remodel and the new owners that had come in, where they still had the check parking, and just kind of walked around. It was when I was dealing with my grandparents' place, and then I maybe one time since they've reopened, but you know, with all the new stuff, which is nice. So where are some of your favorite places, like cities and towns in Texas, and venues to play that's,
Uh,
you know, kind of hold a special spot for you?
So I've been in Clear Lake since like the 5th grade. So I was pretty much raised there.
Hmm.
Um, I was there all through high school and a little bit after high school. So Clear Lake that's a pretty dear place to my heart. But next to that, I'd have to say New Braunfels.
Oh yes, the hub.
That's God's country to me, and that's
Yes, it is.
like my happy place, you know.
Like if I can't be on the coast, then that's where I want to be, up in that area.
See, and I'm not, you know, being raised down here. I love the water, but it's a different. I don't know. I like being near the mountains and the hills and the rivers and the random people. That's part of my favorite stuff.
Oh yes, yes. And it's so beautiful there. But it's funny with me because I am such a salt soul. It's like if I go inland on a trip, like after about a week, I'm getting claustrophobic. I'm ready to come
Yeah.
home and have my open water and space. I don't know, it's kind of weird like that. So what do you have coming up? Your future plans?
Oh man, we have a whole bunch of stuff coming. You know, I've been on the road with Josh Ward this last
That's right.
that has been such a blessing. I mean, Josh is incredible. His team is incredible, and I mean, they have a big hand in again why I am where I am and what's transformed of myself and, you know, my career the last year. But we have some pretty exciting stuff. I can't really, like, you know,
Oh yeah.
announce it, but some more out of state runs. By the end of the year, I'll be at 9 states this year. I have played, and that's special. Being that last year I only had played 3 states.
Wow.
And so
Wow. And that's great because you're getting your music out to a different audience, and I'm sure picking up more fans, because who wouldn't like your music? It's just amazing.
thank you. Yeah, it's then the end of the year I have a 10-song album coming out. So it's gonna be 90s. It's gonna be completely where I come from and who I am. It's gonna be
That's exciting.
my
So
favorite.
were a lot of the 90s country artists kind of like you talked about going to the library and getting Chris Cagle CDs. I guess kind of that time in music, was that like, who was some of your musical inspirations?
Keith Whitley was my number one.
Oh, yes.
I'm a sucker for Keith Whitley, but Mark Wills, Andy Griggs, I mean, you name it, anybody from the 90s, uh, Ty Herndon. So
Oh, I love Ty Herndon
I like
stuff.
one hit wonder guys that just kind of hit you, you know. Chris Cagle for sure, though. I haven't listened to his record in a few years. And the other night I was driving through and showing my girlfriend his songs, and I was like, hit, 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 you
Man,
know?
you know, I haven't listened to Chris Cagle stuff in ages. I used to love playing his really upbeat songs on the radio, like just to, you know, like Chicks Dig It and some of his other stuff.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, Chris Cagle was one of my faves when he was around. I kind of like
Oh,
had a little
yeah.
crush on him, just a little.
Here I am playing music now, and I hear something like that I listened to over and over when I was a kid, and I hear so much of myself in that music now.
Absolutely. I can see that. So when you're not playing music, like I know you're probably don't have much time for other stuff, but kind of what is your like guilty pleasure or your way to unwind sometimes?
I love to cook.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love to cook. That's usually what I do when I'm off. If not, I try to spend as much time with my family as I can. That's another thing that's real close to mine. Real close with my brothers, and you know, my mom and dad, they live with me, so I don't really get to see them when I'm on the road because I come and go. And you
Mhm.
know, I usually just try to wind down and visit with them and cook.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of food do you like to cook?
I'm a steak guy.
Yo, okay.
Yeah,
Nice. Any top secret tips on cooking a good steak?
just time it. you know, I
Thermometer, time it.
I messed them up, over and over again. Catch barbecue pits on fire, and now it's nature. But
Yeah. Do you ever watch Food Network? Do you watch some of those shows?
yeah, that's like a rabbit hole for me because I'll watch them all night long.
I'll watch Chopped. I will watch Chopped forever. I'll watch Chopped and Guys Grocery Games. Like I can watch that like all the time. But sometimes Chopped, learning and watching Chopped comes in handy because sometimes I won't have I haven't been in the grocery store. So yeah, around here, and my guy's like, oh no, we're not doing Chopped. I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing Chopped.
Yeah.
Watch me pull this stuff out of the pantry and make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've never been real good at that, just throwing stuff together. I have to kind of have a plan, but I'm sure if I was just like starving, I'd be able to do it. But
right. But sometimes my stuff turns out good and I don't write it down because I think, oh, I'll remember what I did. Sure enough, somebody will say, hey, remember when you made that whatever, and I'm like, yeah. And then my guy will look at me and Ron will be like, I told you to write that stuff down. You think you can remember, but you can't.
yeah.
So anyway, well, looking forward to everything you have in the future, and just keep up the good work. And we'll be following you. Like I said, we followed Better by the Beer all the way up to #1. Like I was keeping up with it, and we were doing our Texas on Tap and tracking it and keeping an eye on it. So just keep up the good work. One other question I have too, I didn't talk about your band. What's your who are some of your band members, and where are they from?
So the longest member that I've had is my drummer, Christian. He's my best friend in the whole world. He's actually originally from New Zealand.
Oh.
Yeah, he's been in the States 10 years this year, and he gets his citizenship next year, which is pretty exciting.
Wow, New Zealand. That's such an intriguing place.
Yeah, we actually had a tour. We had a tour scheduled before COVID hit. Well, the year of COVID, this last September, and we had to cancel.
Oh, wow.
Go back as soon as it opens. And then my bass player Jason, he's been with me 2 years, and he's from Belleville. He actually booked Double E.
Oh my gosh, he's from Belleville. Okay, okay, now this is going to go total Austin County Bohemian Czech people. If I can ask, what's his last name?
Went, W-E-N-D.
Oh, I know lots of Wents. Okay, and I know so many people from Belleville, and actually Kyle, our producer, his mom is from Belleville.
Oh, wow.
It's such a small world. I love this. Okay, go ahead.
My guitar player is Chris Loring. He's played with Jason Cassidy and Scooter Brown. He's played with both of those guys for a long time, but now he's with me. He's been with me over a year. Yeah, and, it's about it. Those are pretty much the heart and soul of the band. These guys are my road dogs. They've sacrificed a lot this last year with me, and we're like a big family. Oh
yes, I'm sure you are. And well, the hanging in there and what you're doing is paying off. I mean, look at how you've just come into I look for you to be one of our signature artists with the Texas music. You're just going to keep moving up, playing those bigger venues. So it's been an honor to visit with you, and we'll be keeping up with you. And one last question on the Texas Toast I have to ask: if you were a cocktail, what would you be?
I would be a Jaeger bomb.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, Jake Bush is our Jaeger bomb. All right, Jake, thank you so much, and hopefully I'll get to see you down the road, and keep up the good work. And we're going to be following if you ever get lonely.
Come on.
Okay, thanks, Jake.
Thanks.
And with a heavy tongue, she knew where I was from. As she left, I dared to say, well, you can go to hell. Hell, I'll go to Texas. I've had my fill of every place but home.